Welcome to another episode of Bleav in the Broncos on the Bleav Network, sponsored by Bet Online. I'm Patrick Chiotti. I'm one of your two hosts of this program. Joining me, as always, is former Denver Bronco, Super Bowl 50 champion, lockdown cornerback Chris Harris Jr. Chris, good to see you, man. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Ready to talk some ball, man. It's that time of season where everybody's competing, trying to get a job, man. So you gotta love this time of the year.
Pads come on in Broncos practice. They've been practicing in pads all week. Finally, football is back. We got a football game today. The Hall of Fame game is being played today. Houston Texans and the Chicago Bears. No Caleb Williams, probably no CJ Stroud either. Probably for the best for those guys. But excited that football is back. But the Broncos training camp is underway fully. And we've got lots of news to catch up on, lots of insight from all around the reporting world for the Denver Broncos. Is their rookie quarterback balling out? Is a rookie running back running people over left and right? You'll find out here on Bleav in the Broncos. Before we get into all of that, we have a message from our sponsors. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing. I know I've got some high stakes on some fencing in the Olympics. I'm pretty excited about that. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code Bleav for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet Online. The game starts here. And Chris, where we're going to start, we're going to pivot for a quick second. The Olympics are going on. We forgot to mention that. That's kind of a big deal.
Yes, sir.
No flag football in the Olympics this year. A little unfortunate. But the next Olympics is set to have flag football. And yesterday, my wife and I were sitting down. We were watching the Kevin Hart and Keenan recap of the Olympics, and Peyton Manning was on there. And they were talking about if Peyton would be the quarterback for the American flag football team. And he said politely no, but he would coach. So I was going to ask you, Chris, if Peyton's going to be the head coach or offensive coach, like he is for his children, scary thought, by the way, would Chris Harris Jr. be able to be the defensive coach for the American flag football team? What would that look like for you?
I'll definitely hit up Peyton. Definitely try to get on that staff, and assist the defense. Definitely. So me and Peyton always had scheme talks going over defense, offense, things like that. So he knows I know the game. So I think that'd be fun, man. Next, we got 4 more years. Where is it at?
2028. It's in LA, right here.
It's in LA. Oh yeah, that's gonna be definitely. Come on, that's an easy trip. 2-hour flight. Come on, Peyton, man. Go ahead and let me get a gold medal.
All right. So if you're putting together a gold medal flag football team, give me 1 quarterback, 2 receivers, and then give me 2 corners and a safety. Who are you putting out there?
My quarterback would be Mahomes, easy.
Yeah,
Mahomes.
I think Pat. You got to say Pat.
My tight end, I will go with Kelsey because he's just gonna move the chains for me.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
And then 1 more receiver.
Now let's do 2 corners and a safety.
2 corners. Surtain.
Yeah.
Lattimore.
Oh.
And my safety would be. Dang, who's the top safety right now? Let's go with Justin Simmons.
Yeah, he's unsigned. He's
perfect for him or Kyle Hamilton. Those 2 guys
Kyle
back
would
there.
Be fun in flag.
2 safeties. That's going to cover all the ground in the back end. I think that's going to be dominant right there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Justin Simmons still not signed. Hitting balls at the driving range. But Chris, there is something else pretty serious that happened in the last couple weeks. Former Bronco, former guest of the show, Super Bowl 50 Super Bowl champion Terrell Davis was taken off of a United flight and put into handcuffs by FBI agents for allegedly harassing a flight attendant on a flight with his family. His son, asked for a cup of ice. Flight attendant didn't hear him, whatever the case was. And the flight attendant accused Terrell Davis of assaulting them. So Mr. Davis was taken off the flight when it was landed. He was put into handcuffs. He was later let go, released. He wasn't charged with anything. Very embarrassing, very traumatizing moment for somebody. I mean, this is a guy who's just on a flight with his family. But then United, even after all this, United still puts him on a ban list so that he can't fly on United flights. Pretty disgusting act, honestly, and pretty embarrassing act by United. Chris, what do you have to say about this, and what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
You think about it, right? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. When you think about it, man, it's definitely it's not characteristics of these are not the characteristics of Terrell Davis. And
No.
I've flown on a flight with TD, before, and he was actually with his family, right? And he's just chilling, man. And he don't want any trouble. He's a lot of the times he's just working and traveling. So just talking to TD and communicating them, he asked me to be able to retweet his statement on behalf of what United did to him, and how they doubled down on with their employee. Did he get fired? Did that employee get in trouble, or did anything happen? I
I have
haven't
no
seen the
idea
news
yet.
on that, right? But they doubled down on his side, right? So you would think they would have cameras, like where it's 2024. You would think they would have some type of cameras on planes, right? Or
Yeah.
somebody's videotaping this. I guarantee they got him videotaped getting handcuffed, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
getting taken
somewhere.
off the plane. I'm surprised TMZ. I know TMZ probably has that, right? They're working like clockwork, right?
Yeah.
TMZ's always getting the footage, right? So I know they got it. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in that situation. I don't think did he say that he's gonna come out and sue them? I haven't seen that yet. So it's still,
Still
yeah,
underway. Still
yeah, there's still
underway.
a lot of things pending in this situation. But
Yep.
definitely United definitely looks bad. And I mean, that's why I fly American. I haven't had any issues with
Mm.
American traveling. I've been, I think I'm staying 100% loyal with American right now.
There you go. Yeah. So the United Airlines does say that the flight attendant is no longer with the company. But this quote from TD's post: "My family will never unsee me, nor will I ever forget being taken off an airplane in handcuffs." That
Mm.
is a powerful statement for something that so minor. Is something that's clearly overblown, but just no need to take it to that level. So our thoughts are with TD. Hope to have him back on the show here pretty soon to talk
Yeah.
something a little more positive and talk some Broncos. So,
Yes, sir.
TD, we stand with you, man. Let's get into training camp. Broncos training camp fully underway. Lots of big things happening, Chris. We'll start with some injuries. Yesterday's practice, Quinn Bailey, one of the reserve offensive linemen, guy who was used pretty sparingly last year, but in heavy packages, goes down with a
Yeah.
gruesome ankle injury. He is going to be out for the season. This is a big blow to the Broncos'
Yeah.
offensive line depth. And then, safety Brandon Jones has been out for the last week with a hamstring injury that has kept him on the sideline. Nick Bonito is dealing with some back stuff. But outside of that, man, nothing much else to report as far as injury goes. But losing Quinn Bailey, big blow to the offensive line depth. Do you see anybody? We did our offensive line roster preview episode. But do you see anybody who could take those snaps from Quinn Bailey or who can step up and replace a guy like him?
I mean, he was going to be that swing tackle anyways, right? He was
Yeah.
going to be that guy that that was going to be competing to be that swing tackle. So it's
Hmm.
going to be interesting. We know that we have that undrafted guy. I think
Frank Crum.
he was he's really tall. How I forgot. Remember we
Oh,
had a monster.
so
What was
there's
his guy? The undrafted guy,
Nick
Frank
Gargiulo.
Crumb. Was it?
Oh, Frank Crum. Yeah, from Wyoming.
Frank
Yeah.
Crumb, right? I just remember him just being, they got a freakish size.
Hmm.
It's gonna be interesting to see what, land on it. Now it just opens up another spot, right?
Yeah.
And you usually want a solid rotational guy, swing guy right there. Usually, if you can play guard and tackle, that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
You set two positions right there. But
Yeah.
mostly guys can only play like mainly tackle. We used to have a guy. What was his name? Was Billy? I think he came
Billy
back.
Turner.
Billy
Billy
Turner,
Turner.
and
Controversial.
but he was a good, solid swing guy earlier in his career, right? So
Hmm.
you got to have some guys like that, because usually, usually somebody in your O line goes down. It usually
Yeah.
happens, but
Yeah.
with Mitch and Bowles, they've been fairly, healthy. So it's going to be
Yeah.
interesting to see what happens. Who can step up? But it's just now, it's just one more spot, a guy that can get a chance to make the team.
Yeah. On the opposite end of injuries, it's kind of surprising. Greg Dulcich, tight end, has stayed very healthy throughout training camp so far. Heard
Yeah.
nothing but really good things about him. Sean Payton mentioned, you'll see it down below in our camp notes, but he did say that he's got a little ways to go as far as blocking goes, but that's something to be
Oh yeah.
expected. He's
We
not really
yeah.
he's not really that typical inline tight end, but man, he's been
Yeah.
showing a lot of great signs. He's been really encouraging throughout camp, so that's awesome. If he can just stay healthy, that would be
Yep.
awesome. Chris, there's a lot of guys that are balling out in camp right now, and there's some guys who still need to improve. So we're going to go into a training camp stock up, stock down segment, and we're going to start with
Yes.
stock up. Uh, we're picking three players here who have been shown out in camp. We've heard really great things about them. The first one is pretty obvious. Quarterback Bo Nix. He has been slinging the ball. He has been
Sir.
operating the offense very well. There's limited videos out online, which is, that's fine. But the videos that we do have, man, I mean, he's reading the defense very well. He's operating the offense with ease. He's moving the ball downfield in those team drills. So really, really good things to hear, good things to see. Handling pressure very well. The defensive line has been balling out from all accounts as well. They've been doing a much better job than last year. But Bo has been operating the offense well. If Bo Nix continues this trajectory, Chris, do you think that they just go ahead and name him the week one starter after that first preseason game?
I've heard also Stidham's done solid too, but
Yes, he has.
I
He's
think
been very good.
Bo. I think just throw him out there. I think we have nothing to lose this year. It's kind of a year that everybody expects us to be bad, anyways,
Right.
right? So just throw him out there, right? It's. I think it's better for him to learn and get that experience and get thrown in that fire early, right? Especially when there's low expectations. Even
Mm-hmm.
though we got Sean Payton, we got a Hall of Fame coach, or prestigious high coach,
Yeah.
you got high expectations with him, right? But as a team, we don't expect that. So I think with Bo, it would be great for him to play, and as we've seen, he's improved every day.
Yeah.
He's shown that he's capable to go out there and lead the team. He can make plays with his legs and also get the ball down the field in the air, right? So I think he definitely give him the keys to the franchise right now. Let him get thrown in the fire, and
Yeah.
right. While we don't have those expectations where it's all on Bo Nix to win us games,
Right.
right? Let him get that experience.
Absolutely agree. And I think like the relationship that he's building with the receivers like Cortland Sutton and veteran Josh Reynolds, who he had a fantastic throw to on the sideline yesterday
Yeah.
in camp. I think it just makes it better. But our next player, Chris. Oh, someone who we wanted to show out last year, who we kind of talked about as maybe a trade candidate this offseason, but the Broncos kept him. DJ Jones. He has been fantastic in training camp. And not just DJ Jones as well. Like, this is more of just the whole Broncos defensive line. I kind of talked about it, but they have been tremendously better. Plugging up holes in the run game, fantastic to see considering last year's performance. And Sean Payton kind of alluded to that by saying, they need to have more of an attack mentality. Last year was not an attack mentality. Thus, you see your linebackers getting 180 tackles. That's not the way we need to do it. So the emphasis on more attacking is good. How do you feel about the defensive line, but DJ Jones in particular so far in training camp?
I mean, he's always been a very consistent player, right? He's kind of like on that threshold, like where he's almost a Pro Bowl guy, but he's a good player that you gotta have, right? And that happens sometimes with players, right? He's not a high sack guy, so he's not going to be known to in the Pro Bowls, right? Mostly those guys are kind of high sack D tackles, and he's not that, but he does his job. He's going to get some pressure. He's going to move the pocket back right in front of the quarterback's face, and he's a great run defender, right? So I'm glad that we had to keep him, and those guys are valuable in this league, right? So adding him, bringing John Franklin Myers, bringing Roach, right? Give him some more meat up front, right? Those guys are probably playing with confidence because they don't have to worry about right now being tired, right? They got a nice rotation, right? A nice 5-6 rotation of guys that they can plug in and keep guys fresh. So I like where we're at with the D line. I think they should be the strength of the defense for sure. Well, they're going to have to be.
Yeah, and we've seen, Benjamin Albright tweeted that don't be surprised if the defensive line is the best group of this defense. It has been, from all accounts, one of the most improved groups. And you mentioned Malcolm Roach. Heard he's looking like a steal right now.
Oh yeah,
John Franklin Myers, the exact person that they needed to bring in for this defense. And then you like Zach Allen having a monster training camp. He had a pass deflection yesterday that was just beautiful. Like friend of the show Mario Vitanzi said that he looked like JJ Watt out there. Like, he's just big. Yeah. He's imposing his will. That is what we want to hear from a group that was just so bad last year. And Derek Wolfe kind of talked about it. Like, they're just kind of waiting. They're just waiting. Attack. Do something.
Right.
It very, very optimistic is what I would say. The last player, Chris, running back Javonte Williams, big stock up. We gave him 3 arrows because this was a guy who weeks ago you and I were talking about, is he gonna be on the roster block? Like, is he gonna be on the trading block? Are they gonna get rid of him if he's not back 100% healthy? It's a possibility. Yeah. Now, after training camp has started, completely gone. I think Javonte is back. He's going to do what he needs to do. How are you feeling about it? If what we're hearing in training camp is true, that he is more explosive, he shed some weight, he's looking like he's back to his normal self. How does that make you feel about this Broncos offense going forward?
Well, with a rookie quarterback, you're going to have a solid run game. We're going to lean on Javonte. We're going to lean on the rookie running back, Audric. We're going to lean on McLaughlin. Right, those guys got to make plays out the backfield because that's what we're seeing in this league. These teams are maximizing using their running backs, using their tight ends, and using their slot guys. So, and that's where does Bo Nix like to throw down the middle. So we're gonna have to rely on these guys. It's great that he's came back. He's lost. Sometimes you have to go through those things, right? You think you need to get extra big and strong and beef up, and but you lose your quickness. You're losing some of your speed, right? So. So I think it's better for him to be light. He can still have that power, right? But he's quicker and faster through the hole. And that's what we need to see, right? We need to see that burst. We need to see that quickness. He needs to be able to make one guy miss 75% of the time, right? And if he can
Yeah.
do that, that's going to help out Bo Nix. It's going to help out the whole offense and keep the third downs not long.
Yeah.
With a rookie quarterback, we always wanted to get those guys in third and long,
Yeah.
right? So if you have a solid run game and make it manageable third downs for Bo Nix, that's going to help him a lot.
Yeah. And just a quick, training camp update from today. Javonte Williams is from Zach Stevens at DNVR. Javonte Williams displayed terrific foot awareness on a touchdown pass from Zach Wilson near the end zone. Wilson rolled right and hit Javonte with a dart in the front right corner of the end zone. Javonte did a great job keeping his feet in bounds for the score. So it looks like he's going to be catching some passes out of the backfield as well. That's huge.
Oh yeah.
I think we didn't really get to talk about this that much, in past episodes, but when I went back and I watched some of the backfield throws from last year to Javonte, a big gripe was, well, Javonte didn't get a ton of looks from the backfield as a pass catcher. And in those opportunities, it didn't really come with any production, right? And a lot of those throws, Chris, were like low at his feet behind him. That for a running back out of the
It
backfield, you can't do that. Like you have to be able to throw a good ball out of the backfield. And like it's
Browns
different.
game. I could just right off my
Yes.
head, I could think of the Browns.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly right. And like I feel like P Ryan got a ton of looks out of the backfield, but in a lot of those situations, he was a chip and a check, right? So
Yeah.
he's pass pro, chip, release, and he's just standing there. A lot of Javante's were going to the sideline, either bubbles or swings, some arrows out of the backfield. Those are throws that have to be led. Those are
Yeah.
not throws that you can throw down at the feet. So Javonte didn't get that production. I feel like if they can include him in the passing game this year, I mean, they looked at Josh. They offered Josh Jacobs a ton of money. We didn't even touch that. They offered Josh Jacobs a ton of money, and he turned him down. Is
Mm.
Javonte Williams primed for a Josh Jacobs role? Do you think?
I didn't know that. That was a bomb right there you just dropped. But oh man. I might have to holler at Josh, man. What's up with that, man?
Well, so he said that he took less money because he didn't want to be in a rebuilding situation.
I understand. And the
I get
Packers
it.
are on the come up, right? They
Yeah.
got a nice quarterback. He's proved that he can win in the playoffs. So there for his career, it's better for him to go to Green Bay. I agree.
Yeah.
But back to Javante, he needs to get. We got to get these guys involved in the passing game, right? Because
Mhm.
that's another mismatch that you got to be able to take advantage on some of these linebackers that can't cover.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing around, the AFC West, probably the best linebackers that can cover are probably the Chiefs, right?
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
we got to be able to attack those guys still. So we
Yeah.
gotta. It's pivotal for we get Javante. I'm glad that those arrows are going up. His stock is going up. P Ryan will probably be cut. That's just how the business goes, how the money goes, and so I don't see him keeping both.
Well, that's perfect segue because now we're going into stonk down. Okay. Now we're going into stonk down. And the first player on this list is Samaje Perine. Look, it's tough because he was so good last year in those situations, in those 2-minute drill situations. He was really reliable out of the backfield. He's a hard runner. But you said it, Estime is coming along. McLaughlin's going to have his role. And then Blake Watson, he had his first training camp practice today. So going to be pretty interesting to see what his role is.
Practice squad target.
Yeah. And
Mm.
P. Ryan is just going to be, he's a guy that deserves to be on a different team. Like he's going to make some team really happy. And this isn't saying that P. Ryan is doing bad in camp. He's just Samaje P. Ryan. Like he's doing his job. But I don't know if there's a role for him and Audric Estime on this team because they're very similar. So I think P. Ryan is going to get a ton of play that first preseason game. He's going to get a ton of looks. And either it's going to be a trade situation or, some team's just going to wait for him to get cut. But yeah,
Yeah.
what do you think?
They will cut him, and I think because he was supposed to make the $2 million, I think this year,
Yeah, something like
right?
that. It's not
I
a ton
don't
of
think
money.
any. I don't think any. It's still a lot of money for a running back. The
Yeah,
way they
yes,
look at it,
it still is. Yeah,
right? $2 million is a lot of money for a running back, in which they can go and get a couple guys for $2 million at the running back position,
right,
right? And get a
right.
couple looks at that. So, but I think they want to get Odrick so a chance to play. Him and Javante, two young, nice backs. McLaughlin being your speed, change of pace guy. I think they might look to roll with those three, right?
Yeah,
And Blake Watson, I see him as being a potential, practice squad target
yeah,
because he's talented. He can catch the ball in the backfield and be a return. So
yeah.
um, the one, what's that other? I think we have another one. Batty, is that his
Beatty.
last name?
Yeah,
Beatty.
Tyler Beatty. Yeah,
Yeah, Tyler Beatty. He's probably in trouble. He's the guy that's going to be on the outside looking in too.
yeah.
Him and P. Ryan. So it's going to be interesting. They might keep four
I think they
backs, four
do.
to five backs. Probably
Yeah.
four. That's what I might go with if I'm a betting man. But yeah, P. Ryan's not bad, but it's just a money issue.
Yeah, and the other part, we talked about this in the special teams episode, but Dwayne Washington, who was the fourth running back on the roster last year, 246 special team snaps. That has to be
Yeah.
replaced. So who's gonna take that? P Ryan's not. He's not gonna do that. He's not
No.
gonna do that. Estimate maybe, but if you want to keep him healthy, you're probably going to limit that. So it's got to be either Blake Watson, Beatty, probably not McLaughlin. I don't think he's got the frame for that, but we'll see. Okay, Chris, the second player on our stock down, Damari Mathis, cornerback. How do you
Yes,
feel
sir.
about this? He apparently has not been playing well in camp. He struggled a little bit from what I've heard. And the coming in of Levi Wallace, and then Moss is playing semi decent. Abrams Drain has had a few good reps here and there, but he's still a rookie. I don't know. Is the writing on the wall for Damari Mathis?
Yeah, I believe so. I think it was last year. I think you only get so many opportunities and chances in this league to make a first impression with a coach. And Coach Joseph, he'll move on fast, man.
Yeah,
And I think right now they're with PS2. They probably like Levi having another veteran guy
yeah,
opposite him, and then Jaquan in the slot, and having Riley be your fourth guy, dime guy, and special teams.
yeah.
I think they're solid with that, and then having the rookie Aegis Drains special teams, and being able to
Mhm.
play nickel and corner, right? So I think they'll go with those guys. Damari will probably be cut, and hopefully he'll be able to land on his feet somewhere else. But it's kind
Yeah,
of writing on the wall, and what they've um, and what I've seen Moss. He's making some plays.
yeah,
He's been out there making some plays. Levi Wallace has made plays. I've seen Coach Payton saying that he feels comfortable with Levi
yeah,
out there. So
yeah.
that's the real competition: Levi, Moss, and
Abrams Drain.
Aegis Drain.
Yeah,
Jaquan, I haven't seen that he's going to try to play corner. I think he's just going to try to
yeah,
be just a straight nickel guy. And
yeah. And then Tremont Smith too. I mean, Tremont Smith is
yeah,
going to be like your
special
key
teams
special
guy.
teams guy,
Yeah,
and like emergency corner.
and
But
returner.
like, yeah, and you're not going to let that guy go. He was so good on
Yeah.
special teams last year. Like, you're not going to let that guy go. Even
So
Moss,
they
like
might
Moss was
keep
good.
six.
They
They might
might,
keep six. Yeah.
and that's why this last guy, Chris, it's really breaking my heart because I really, really want him to be on the team. But safety JL
Yeah.
Skinner he has struggled in practice from what we've seen and what we've heard. And this is a safety room where if like somebody's got to step up. Caden Stearns is coming off of injury. PJ Locke is back. Brandon Jones is currently out with an injury, so you have to be making the most out of these reps. And if you're getting
Yeah.
caught flat-footed, you're getting caught with your eyes in the backfield, you're giving up touchdowns in red zone, you're not going to get looks. So it's tough. Like, that's really tough. What do you think? Do you think
Yeah.
stock down JL Skinner?
Yeah, it stock's down, but it's still early, right? Camp's
Yeah.
a long grind. You got a whole month left of camp, really,
Mm-hmm.
right? A lot can happen. So right
Yeah.
now, his stock is down, and he needs to take the opportunity of Jones being hurt and try to move up the ladder. right? I think Turner
For sure.
Yell is even coming off an injury,
Yeah, he's
right?
still on the pup
So
list, but he's coming back.
yeah, so right now you got all the reps, right? So you got an unbelievable chance to be able to show what you can do. I know they
Yeah,
probably have Peyton and PJ locked in as the two
yeah,
guys, right? But who's going to be the third safety when we go dime or we want to bring that, hybrid guy in, right?
hmm
And I think that's wide open still. Or they'll probably go Stearns, Lock, and B Jones. But one of those
yeah,
guys go down. Somebody got to
yep,
be ready to come in. So I think they will keep JL, just because he's just a freakish when
yeah.
guys
He's
come in that
big.
size,
You got to keep him
that
around.
potential, they usually give him 4 years, right?
Yeah,
And he's one of those guys where they'll probably give him 4 years, right?
yeah,
If he gets cut, he'll have to be playing really, really bad.
yeah.
you know,
And I think he'll still have special teams availability.
yeah,
Like, we talked about Drew Sanders' special team snaps needing to be replaced, and I think if Turner Yell is still coming back from his ACL injury, uh, this kind of puts JL Skinner in an opportunity. But based on his play, based on what we've heard right now, it's stock down for JL Skinner. Hopefully, it bounces back up. We were going to do training camp battles to watch for the first preseason game, but I think we'll save that for our next episode as we get
yes,
closer
sir.
to a preseason game. Chris, there's one last thing that we were going to talk about, though, and that is something that is quite controversial in Broncos country. John Elway on a podcast said that his biggest regret with the Denver Broncos was picking Bradley Chubb while Josh Allen was still on the board. This was a igniter for Broncos country because this has been the argument for generations. The Bowie over Jordan, one would say. Um,
Yeah,
let's weigh in on this. Do you think at the time? Do you think at the time that Bradley Chubb was the right pick, or do you think they would have been better off taking Josh Allen in that situation? Looking back
yeah,
to what the situation was and the pre-draft process for Josh Allen, I didn't really love Josh Allen coming out. I saw the athleticism, I saw the size, I saw all of that, but I also saw a guy who struggled a lot in college with ball placement, with just inaccuracy, with all sorts of different things. And I thought Bradley Chubb was the right pick at the time. So, what do you think? Do you think
yeah.
hindsight is 2020?
Well, that whole football season, right? We're watching them the whole year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all we're seeing is Elway's at the games and things like that.
Yep.
It was pretty big in Colorado, the
Yeah,
coverage
it
that he
was.
had at that time, right? So we're thinking like, okay, this is if he's still on board and we're right there, we definitely drafting him. We're
Yep.
definitely gonna draft a quarterback. So, but I think Paxton, kind of gave him some,
Yeah.
bad taste in his mouth,
Mm.
fell in right there. And then we had just paid at the end of the year, we end up paying Case Keenum, right? And
Yeah.
he came off I think he came off a solid year with the Vikings.
Yep. Yep.
So
That was
us as
the
players, we
miracle.
kind of had to change our of course we know we don't believe that Case we're gonna win a Super Bowl with Case Keenum,
No.
right?
No.
But we have to as players, we have to support him in that. Like we can't be like, oh no, we need to draft
Yeah. We need to get someone else.
Josh
Bring
Allen,
him
we
in
gotta
here.
draft another. Yeah, he's a
Right.
new guy coming on a new team and he's won a playoff game, right? And they
Yeah.
just paid him, right? So we can't just talk bad about this guy, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of the situation that we're in. But nobody really believed that we could win with that guy. So
Yeah.
but I think it was cool, Elway coming out seeing that. Hey,
Finally.
I definitely made a mistake on that, and Chubb wasn't a bad pick, right? He's
No.
still a solid player, and he still came in and made plays. But being able to have a quarterback for 15 years is just no comparison, right?
Yeah.
So that would be my take on it. But I see Elway definitely. I mean, but if you're a GM and you're a GM for 10 years, like Elway was, you're gonna make some mistakes. You're not gonna be
Yeah.
perfect. at your draft. I'm pretty sure it's tons of guys.
I mean, Shane
We
Ray,
passed up on Lamar Jackson,
we
right?
sure
Everybody can
did.
say it's a
We
lot of
sure
a
did.
lot of people passed up on Mahomes, 15 teams, I think. So,
Yep.
it's not Elway's not the only guy in the NFL that's passed up on a great quarterback. So,
Right.
you just got to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's still a Super Bowl winning GM, and I'm pretty sure he has a solid record overall. So,
Yep.
salute to Elway, man. It's just, hey, uh,
I mean,
our career would have definitely looked totally different, though, being able to
yeah.
get another Josh Allen.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's hindsight is always 2020.
Yeah,
And I think, GMs always have this kind of look back, right? Where they go back and they say, man, like, I left this guy on the board. I left this guy on the board. You still had Paxton Lynch was still on the team at that time. That's a first round pick that you traded up for. So like you got like, are you just going to take a quarterback at number 5 while you still have the guy on from the first round that you traded up for? Probably not. I mean, Shane Ray was picked 23rd overall, and really had like a rotational role. But there were a ton of other guys on the board, like Shaq Thompson was a guy who was still on the board. Laken Tomlinson was a guy who was still on the board. Donovan Smith, Mario Edwards. Like, you could go back to any of these drafts and say, okay, like they picked so and so. Oh, but this guy was still on the board and this guy was still on the board. So hindsight's always 2020 in the NFL draft, but
yeah,
in that situation at that time, even back, like I remember that back then, I
yeah.
was not taking Josh Allen. I was not in love with Josh Allen as much as anybody else was. So glad Elway said it. Fantastic. We will be
Yes, sir.
back with our next episode, wrapping up some more of these training camp news notes and nuggets. Make sure that you follow Chris and I on Twitter at Chris Harris Jr., at Patrick Chiotti. Follow at Bleav Network as well. Make sure that you subscribe to the show on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on, and go over and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can find all of our
Yes, sir.
interviews and episodes over there. Jake Plummer coming on the show August 14th.
Jake the
We've
Snake.
locked it in. Jake the Snake. I talked to him, Chris. He's really excited to talk to you. Jake's been doing a
Yes, sir.
lot since his career ended. Really excited to talk to him and have that conversation. So, for Chris Harris Jr., for the Bleav Network, I'm Patrick Chiotti. This has been Bleav in the Broncos. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.